Welcome to the 49ers Camelot Show. I appreciate you hopping on with us. I am your host, Marc Adams. I'm one of the writers at 49ers Web Zone. You can find me on Twitter at 49ers Camelot. I'm also on Facebook, but I hardly do anything there. And I'm even on some of the other places, like TikTok and places like that. But I really don't do a whole lot. I mean, I'll post some videos, but that's about it. But hey, love to engage with you, love to talk to you. Normally we do a 49ers mailbag session at 49ers Web Zone each week. We didn't do one this week, but we'll have one next week. And so I really enjoy those because we get to engage and talk with fans and see what's on your mind. So check those out and make sure you subscribe wherever you watch or listen. Follow us, rate us, review. Hit that like button, all of those things that you're told to do, please do. So a week from yesterday, August the 8th, we are releasing a podcast series called The Hall of Fame Case for Roger Craig. So make sure you're watching for that. And the best way to do that is to subscribe so that you are notified when that happens. But we're making the case for Roger Craig. I wrote an article last year about this and talked to several 49ers greats like Joe Montana, Steve Young, Ronnie Lott, guys like that. And so this year we're doing this podcast. We're actually going to be sending it to the Hall of Fame voters, the Hall of Fame senior voters. They vote on August the 22nd. And so what we want you to do is to make sure that you share the crap out of this so that Hall of Fame voters are going to be forced to watch this. I'm going to be sending it to them on social media, and I have their email addresses, I have their phone numbers. So we're going to be trying to get them to watch in whatever way they can, because we're making a really compelling case that Roger Craig should be in the Hall of Fame. So make sure you are ready to watch that next week when it comes out. So I wanted to talk a little training camp because that's probably why you're here, not to hear me ramble about other things, but you want to find out what's going on with the 49ers training camp. So this is Wednesday, and the 49ers are off today. So they'll come back to practice tomorrow, Thursday. But I want to talk specifically about the previous two padded practices. They've only had two padded practices so far. And so I want to just talk through some news and some observations from those practices. So let's get into that. We're talking Brock Purdy. You know, Brock came out and he's rusty, and some people were criticizing him for being rusty right off the bat. But look, he hadn't thrown a ball in a situation where he had defensive players and offensive players and people like that, in a practice session. He hadn't done that in months. And so that was to be expected, but it sounds like he's starting to knock some of that rust off. Matt Mayoko said that on Tuesday, Purdy was 8 of 10 on 19 reps with the first team offense. And Purdy said that his arm feels good. And so that's all good news. I'm glad to hear that he's coming along. So what about Trey Lance? From everything that I keep hearing is that he's looked really good lately, that he's throwing some lasers out there and with more accuracy. But the interesting thing is that some people aren't reporting it that way. There are some that are going against the current, like when everybody is saying, hey, Trey Lance looks good, he's doing this and that, there's still some out there who are saying that he's inconsistent, that he doesn't look good. In fact, I heard a guy on the radio, I'm not going to say where or who it was, but I heard him today, but I think it was maybe a recording from maybe yesterday. And he said that Sam Darnold has looked great so far and that Trey Lance has been really inconsistent. Well, that doesn't match with what I'm hearing from many others. And so, it's hard to know when you're not there. It's hard to know exactly what's going on. There are going to be some that are going to see things differently, and that's fine. But a lot of it's going to depend on, there's multiple fields and who's watching what and how often you're seeing certain plays or how far away you are or how close you are. And so it's going to be normal for people to see things differently. I don't have a problem with that. The problem that I have is that it seems like there are some people who just can't say anything positive about Trey Lance. And so I'm not really sure what's with all the hate. I mean, consider this. Today on the Pat McAfee show, Adam Schefter said the 49ers are very happy with the way Brock Purdy is coming along. All indications are that he's doing very well, and he's their guy. So not really surprising that Adam Schefter would say that, but he has gone on the same show, the Pat McAfee show, and said things that weren't positive about Trey Lance. Now today he actually said something positive on the Pat McAfee show. Schefter said the 49ers feel that Lance had a good offseason and he's more prepared than he's ever been. They think he's made a lot of progress, and let's see how the rest of this summer plays out. So that's more positive than what we normally hear about Trey Lance. So I just don't understand why there's so many people that just keep putting Trey Lance down. So you even get, like I listen to Grant Cohn sometimes, and Grant, I totally agree with him. He just really feels like the 49ers are against Trey Lance. And sometimes I have to question that myself and say, what's the deal? I mean, why are they not giving him more snaps? Why is he having to share reps with Sam Darnold? And why is he, to an extent, sharing reps with Brandon Allen? It just seems to me that Trey Lance needs to be playing a lot more. He needs to be practicing a lot more. Another thing that Adam Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show, said that he reached out to the 49ers after certain reports had Brock Purdy struggling in training camp. And he said that the 49ers personnel person said, what are they talking about? He looked good. They don't know what they are watching. So that's pretty interesting because really, if this is from early on, everybody said that Brock Purdy looked bad early on because, as I said earlier, he was rusty. That's to be expected. If they're saying he still looks bad, then that's different. But that's my guess, is that the 49ers are wanting to put a positive spin on everything. And even probably those early practices when Purdy didn't look that great. So moving on, there's still no contract extension for Nick Bosa, so he's still holding out. At this point, I'm still not worried. I still am convinced that they're going to get something worked out. In fact, Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show that the 49ers and Nick Bosa don't have an agreement yet, but they're going to get it worked out, and that Nick Bosa will be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. That's no surprise. I've been saying that. Many others have been saying that. So it's going to get done. Now, there will come a point where I'll start getting worried. Not that they're not ever going to re-sign him, but I'll start getting worried that, hey, is he going to be able to be in game shape? He's going to be in better shape than when he comes to camp than anybody comes to camp in that kind of shape. He's going to be ready to roll. But the question is going to be, will he be in game shape? Because that is different, even for Nick Bosa. I realize he could probably skip all of preseason, all of training camp, and still come in and wreak havoc on the quarterback. I just don't want him to get hurt. That's my issues. I'm not worried about his performance. I just don't want him to come in and pull something because he's not quite game shape ready. So on Tuesday, the 49ers signed Taco Charlton, the former first rounder. He's a defensive lineman. I'm guessing that he probably was signed because of depth since Nick Bosa's not in camp. But it sounds like he's making the most of his opportunity and has a chance to do something with this opportunity. By all accounts, he looked really good in practice, even had a would-be sack if the 49ers allowed the quarterbacks to be sacked. So good for him. I hope that he comes in and does really well. He obviously has the talent. He just hasn't put it together so far. Sounds like Ambry Thomas is looking better than he did a year ago. I think it'll probably make the team. I kind of came into training camp a little iffy. Like, I'm not sure if Ambry Thomas is going to make the team or not. Right now, I kind of feel like he will because because reports are that he's doing really well and that he looks good. So I'm going to say now that Ambry Thomas will make the team. I think that he's going to be behind some players like Samuel Womack. I thought that he would be behind Darrell Luter Jr., but so far Luter Jr. has been on the PUP list, and so he hasn't really practiced. And so because of that, I think that this is Ambry Thomas' opportunity to solidify and make sure that he's one of the top backups for the 49ers at corner. So we'll see how that comes together. One name that I'm really excited about to hear is doing great is Javon Kinlaw. He keeps showing up. It sounds like since the pads have come on, that he's been unblockable. And I read something interesting from Jordan Elliott. He posted that the explosion Javon Kinlaw showed in his get-off yesterday is extremely encouraging. His burst being at this level at this time also falls in line with what the typical recovery timetable would be coming back from the major knee surgery he underwent in October of 2021. So what Jordan is saying is that from that October 2021 knee surgery that Kinlaw had, that about right now is when he should be showing promise and coming through that. Because remember, it takes more than a year. It takes close to 2 years for a player to completely return to the place that they were before. Unless you're Adrian Peterson, you don't normally come back the following year just as strong as you left off. So this is really encouraging news. If Javon Kinlaw is healthy, that's a huge boost for the 49ers. They even had him play in some defensive end, which I find really interesting. I don't know if they're going to play him there or if they're just kind of moving him around and just kind of trying to get him reps. I don't know what they're doing. If maybe he would be a really good defensive end. He has dropped some weight, and so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. So if he is healthy and that knee is finally better and he can start to produce like they expected him to, and we got a glimpse of that in 2020, his rookie season. So if he can come through and start performing that way, that could be a huge boost for the 49ers defensive line, which already got a huge boost when they signed Javon Hargrave. Also sounds like Chris Conley, the receiver, is making plays and blocking well, keeps hooking up with Trey Lance. John Chapman posted the Lance to Conley connection is real, and Conley is blocking like a true 49ers receiver already. So that's really good news. I still think he's a long shot to make the team, but especially when you think about Ronnie Bell being a draft pick, would they stash Ronnie Bell on the practice squad and then Conley makes the team? There's players there, with Jawan Jennings, and then you've got Ray McLeod, so there's some traffic there. I guess what I'm saying is that you've got Debo and Ayuk at the top, and then you've got Jennings, but then it starts to get pretty jammed in there. And so, but Conley looking good, and if he makes the roster, then that could be a good boost for the 49ers receiving core. Let's see. Sounds like the backup linebackers. This is from Brad Graham. He said he wrote that the backup linebackers really stood out yesterday in practice. He posted Marcelino McCrary-Ball is all over the field, which I told you he was going to be. I predicted that he would be linebacker 3. Who knows? Maybe I'll be wrong, but sounds like Marcelino McCrary-Ball is really playing well. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles would have had a sack amongst other plays. D. Winters nearly picked off Sam Darnold, and D. Winters and Jalen Graham met a running back in the backfield for a tackle for loss. So it's really cool to hear these backup linebackers because they lost Azeez Al-Shire, so they need somebody to step up. And so I like hearing that these backups are doing so well. I'm just not sure if Oren Burks is going to be what they want. Maybe he'll be really, really good, but to me, he's more of a special teams player. And so I'm not sure that he's going to be the guy, which means one of these backups, in my opinion, needs to step up. Here's just some other quick news. Elijah Mitchell continues to have a great camp. He's healthy. He's playing well. That's great news for the 49ers. It's great news for Christian McCaffrey. Jalen Moore went down with a knee injury yesterday. Some people said no big deal, that he walked off the field, but then others reported that he was carted to the locker room afterward. So I don't know. The team's been healthy so far in training camp. So hopefully Jalen Moore is okay, because so far he's been the lead guy for that swing tackle position. So hopefully he's okay. Still haven't heard anything, but I hope that when we do, that it's nothing serious. Javon Hargrave, I've heard this from multiple people, that he's being double teamed constantly in practice. Now I doubt that's going to happen when Nick Bosa comes back. But if they're having to double team Javon Hargrave in practice, I'm hoping that he needs to be double teamed in games, because who are you going to double team? Are you going to double team him, or are you going to double team Nick Bosa? You're going to double team one of them, and then the other one is going to cause a lot of problems for you. So this defensive line is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, I think. Seen a lot of people posting videos about Steve Wilks actually taking time teaching his defensive backs, specifically Diamador Lenore and Charvarius Ward. I've seen the videos, and he's actually spending time showing them what to do with their hands and with their feet. And so I love seeing this, because Steve Wilks specializes in defensive backs. I hope if you talk weaknesses on the defense, it's in the secondary. Now, I guess the biggest weakness probably last year was the edge rush position opposite of Nick Bosa. Sometimes they didn't put the defensive front didn't put the kind of pressure on opposing quarterbacks like they should have. And so I think that when you talk secondary, it's probably at this point the weakness of the defense. I mean, maybe that opposing, it just kind of depends on what Drake Jackson and Cleveland Farrell and those guys, depends on what they do along the defensive line. But I don't think the pass rush is going to be the weakness this year, especially with Javon Hargrave. So I'm still going to say it's corner, and it's thin. They're thin at corner. And so if Steve Wilks can really develop some of these young guys, because they do have a lot of young guys, Lenore still young, Ambry Thomas is still young. Samuel Womack is young. Luter is a rookie. And then they have some undrafted guys in there that I think they expect some good things from. So if he can develop these guys, that's going to be really, really cool to see. And if that secondary can, especially the corner positions, can get to a point where they're not the weakness, then this defense is going to be absolutely ferocious. And then, of course, the news is that Jake Moody keeps nailing field goals. He's hitting long ones. And Matt Barrow said that he not only is hitting them, he looks smooth doing it. So that's what you want to see. Now we're not in games yet, so that remains to be seen if he can do it when the pressure's on. But from what I hear, he's money Moody for a reason. That he just has nails even when the pressure's on. So that's all that I have for today. Just a short podcast. Again, look for our podcast series that starts next week. The Hall of Fame case for Roger Craig. I think that's going to be a compelling argument, and hopefully this is the year that Roger Craig gets in. And so going to be trying to round up some guests here. Recently, I've gone a couple of weeks without anybody. Just because I know everybody's busy with training camp, but I'm going to try next week to have somebody on. So keep on watching, and appreciate your support. Make sure you rate, review, and follow the 49ers Camelot Show. Everybody have a good day.